Hey, good evening. I'm really happy to have you here. My name is Daniel. I was a professional opera singer and beatboxer, and tonight we are going to be doing something a little different, actually. We're going to be listening to Rare America's Deadly Shade of Blue. So, for those that don't know Rare America, they are an independent punk band, and I'll be honest, the last time I heard punk music was when I was in high school, which was many moons ago. And it wasn't really my vibe then, but very similar to food. I always want to explore music that I had a distaste for in the past in the present because my music appreciation may have changed, my understanding of the genre may have changed, and something really interesting about this as well, which is Rare America actually reached out to me and was just impressed with the channel, and I think that that is just awesome. I'm just stunned from the fact that this single opera singer was able to move such a popular punk band, and when they reached out to me, I was really eager to jump in on this opportunity. So I'm really excited to jump into this. I really don't know what to expect from it. Out of a lot of songs that they presented to me, I just picked this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the initial reaction. I'm going to look at the lyrics afterwards, feel the storytelling of it, watch it again, do the analysis, and I'm going to pick it apart from both a storytelling perspective and from a musical perspective. And I'll be honest in my critique, and I'm just really excited to give this a go. And I hope you guys are excited as well. So without any further delay, let's jump into it. And they did mention this was hand-drawn animation, so I am really, really excited about that. I love animated content, especially when you can really feel the artist's impression in the piece. I'm already hyped.
It's a long walk back for the weak ass ride. Hated the ride, I want my dollar back. Why do they hate me? What did I do? I want so bad to be loved like you. And every night's become a fight, so what am I to do? I try to put a good face on, I'm a deadly shade of blue. There's nowhere left to turn, no, there's not a light in sight. I wish that I could turn them on, but I don't know where I lost my light. Where I lost my light. I just want to feel okay. Can't get there myself, I'll find another way. Float like a feather, fly like a bird. I just don't want it to hurt. Cause every night's become a fight, so what am I to do? I try to put a good face on, I'm a deadly shade of blue. There's nowhere left to turn, no, there's not a light in sight. I wish that I could turn them on, but I don't know where I lost my light. 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 I got worse than I deserve. I wish I would've lost the nerve. I wish I would've turned before I came. But every night it become a fight, so what was I to do? I tried to put a good face on, was a deadly shade of blue. Nowhere left to turn, no, not a light in sight. I wish I could've turned them on, but I don't know where I lost my light. Where I lost my light. Where I lost my light. Where I lost my light.
Oh, what a piece, man. How do I even approach this. This gives me very similar vibes to Ren in terms of the focus on the emotional depth and impact of the music, even though there is a pretty lovely sense of musicality happening. In general, it's much more focused about the storytelling, much more focused about the lyrics and how the lyrics evolve and grow throughout the entirety of the piece. And the animation absolutely reflects what the storytelling is expressing. And wow, that was just very poignant and cathartic. This is pretty tough for me, mainly because everybody is always experiencing their own hardships, their own struggles, and we're all doing our best just to navigate those alongside trying to exist in the present moment, not lose ourselves in the past, not be anxious about the future, but do our best to exist in the present moment, which is a lot easier said than done. So just in that particular lens, I can absolutely empathize with what the piece is expressing and that fall into that self-spiral of despair. So being able to recognize the elements of beauty, being able to, even if they're just really small moments, whether it's just passing someone a light to do something that might be destructive for them, but just seeing that warmth, being able to find that light, as the piece was saying. But it's not so much about finding it so much as it's about just living life and coming across it. It's not as though you desperately need to actively search for it, because I find that, at least in my own life, where if I can only be happy when I find light, then I'm just going to be miserable so much of the time. So instead, rather, just to be able to truly appreciate the fact that I'm able to breathe and take a nice breath of air and enjoy that process, or go outside and look at some grass or some bushes and just think about all the life that's within them, or listen to birds chirping and singing, think that I'm not in an area of war, and just being able to truly experience the present moment, even with all the stress and anxieties of life, just being able to sit in that present moment and allow the beautiful elements of the world that I might take for granted some days, and just be able to exist and enjoy that commonly unrecognized light, beauty of the world. So this piece actually does a really good job about provoking these types of mental images. So this piece just does a really good job about provoking and bringing to the surface a lot of my past, and I'm sure it does the same for many of you. And this has just been really interesting, just in that first go around. So let me look at the lyrics really quick. So now let's just jump into the analysis. I have the lyrics in front of me so I can keep up to date with everything that's happening. Even though their phrasing and diction is really well done and I can understand what they're saying, just to be able to break it down, I have the lyrics in front of me. So let's just jump into the analysis and break it down a little more.
It's a long walk back for the weak ass ride. Hated the ride, I want my dollar back. Why do they hate me? What did I do? I want so bad to be loved like you. And every night it's become a fight, so what am I to do? I try to put a good face on, I'm a deadly shade of blue. There's nowhere left to turn, no, there's not a light in sight. I wish that I could turn them on, but I don't know where I lost my life.
Yeah.
Where I lost my life.
Yeah, so just in that intro where we're just kind of navigating this inner turmoil. And a beautiful element about this piece is the fact that, at least musically, it's not as though it grows tremendously and there's just this huge wave of starting small, growing enormous, and then coming back and just having that constant state of flux that keeps your intrigue. It's because the music is so focused on the emotional depth that the growth of music is minimal, but it is still there. Where in the beginning we just start with a couple strums and then we grow a little bit into that chorus on Where I Lost My Light, and it's minimal, but it's because of that minimalism that it does create a stronger impact emotionally, and it does ultimately contribute really well with the theming of the piece. So I just really do appreciate just how everything just bleeds into each other. It all coalesces into a singular experience of music, and I really, really appreciate that. I want to go back to the beginning just to hear that again.
It's a long walk back for the weak ass ride. Hated the ride, I want my dollar back. Why did they hate me? What did I do? I want so bad to be loved like you. And every night's become a fight, so what am I to do? I try to put a good face on, I'm a deadly shade of blue. There's nowhere left to turn, no, there's not a light in sight. I wish that I could turn them on, but I don't know where I lost my light. Where I lost my light. I just want to feel okay. Can get there myself or find another way. Float like a feather, fly like a bird. I just don't want it to hurt. 'Cause every night
It's so poignant, it hurts, which is ironic because I don't want it to hurt. So, like I was saying, the expression of the minimalistic musical style is very present, and I am absolutely cognizant of it as I'm experiencing this piece, where we just flow a little bit more into music and then rescind back into, we're in this raw emotional room now, and we're just taking on that pain. And in some key senses, I think this is ultimately a really beautiful thing, a really positive thing, mainly because I'm sure many of you have maybe heard of something similar to this expression of the truth is ultimately a good thing, the truth will set you free, in the idea of when you engage with the world and you absolutely convince yourself of a particular way of thought in any subject, whether it's founded in pragmatism or personal experience or faith or whatever the case is, and some event comes along in life that not only challenges that point of view, but creates such a compelling case that it completely assails against your self-image or the groups of which you heavily identify and associate your self-image to. And it's not just your self-image of what you present outward to the world, it's the self-image of what you keep very close to your chest as well, how you present to yourself. And when that crushes in on you, it can feel so debilitating because now you've lost a sense of identity. Now you're just kind of spiraling and you don't really know how to navigate that space. So just being able to exist in a world where you're really lost and very confused in that way, having someone come up to you and offer you a light, and as the video was demonstrating, it kind of leaves you in a state of shock where you recognize it as a kind gesture and you truly want to appreciate it. But because of how lost you are, you don't know how to appreciate it because you don't know really who you are. You haven't created your house on solid ground yet. You're still on that shifting sand. So you're just being moved around in this way that is so tumultuous and unstable. So it's really hard to experience moments of beauty in those moments. But even then, they're there and they can absolutely help, not necessarily cure, but help pull you out of dire situations. And in the following clips where we're at right now, just in the sense that you're still spiraling, and even though you've experienced goodness in the world, the crushing weight of despair and unfairness, indignancy is just overwhelming. And that can cause one to not only feel incredibly acrimonious, but assume a role of victimhood of there's nothing in the world that's within my control, and that can ultimately lead down a slippery slope of nihilism, of worthlessness, and just completely crush an individual, where it creates this world where death is the only relief from suffering. And that is so tragic to me, because human beings possess such an incredible capability to not only pull themselves out of terrible situations, but there's so much limitless potential that human beings have that are able to be evoked and expressed at any given moment. When people say, oh, this person would never do this, or oh, this person is so amazing that they would do this or they couldn't do this, kind of thing. So there's this idea where we think, oh, a person is so good so they would or wouldn't do this, or a person is so bad that they would or wouldn't do this, where there's this idea that a person is truly capable of providing anything at any time, whether it's a person that you might have initially regarded as very callous and malicious, expressing consistent duplicity and perfidy, but they might commit to an action of genuine righteousness, of genuine beauty and goodness. And it's really hard for people to accept the fact that something good has come out of it, because you might just think, oh, they're just acting in their best interest to serve their own purposes, their own evil purposes. They're not capable of producing something genuinely good or beautiful. And very similar, oscillating to the exact opposite end, where you can have someone that you regard as really beautiful, genuinely good, and ultimately, even though it may not be perfect, does the right thing pretty consistently, but they falter and they submit to a temptation or submit to connivance of some degree. And it comes as a shock of, well, that doesn't seem right. They wouldn't do this. Or I'm sure there was a good explanation for it. We're much more forgiving for that person based off of past events. So translating all of this back into the video, just in the sense of experiencing the world while in despair and wanting to submit to despair, because it feels so much better to know that you can feel something, even if it's despair, than numbness, which I can absolutely relate to. Ultimately, it is a very deadly shade of blue in that regard, and I love the title of the song for that reason. But losing your light, it's a lot easier to experience light all around you when you're more not able to let go of your life, but decompress. Allow yourself to decompress. Allow yourself to experience the world in a way that's so rich and detached from you that you can say, well, these are elements in my life that I am able to control. Granted, much of the world is outside of your control, and we're all just trying to navigate within a world that everybody else is trying to do the same with, control elements that they can. But there's something so beautiful about harmonizing with other people, being able to be compatible with other people and create beautiful works of art, create beautiful, miraculous events in human history that only you could have created in this moment of time. Even if it's something small, like picking up a piece of trash at a park or giving someone a little dandelion that you found on the ground. You know, there could be something so powerful in the smallest of gestures that can almost inundate you with what humanity is capable of in terms of light. And being able to exist in this world of darkness, cruelty, and despair, but also light, beauty, and potential. There's always something to gain by living, by experiencing the world around you, and just navigating that. And I think this piece expresses that beautifully.
It's become a fight, so what am I to do? I try to put a good face on, I'm a deadly shade of blue. There's nowhere left to turn, no, there's not a light in sight. I wish that I could turn them on, but I don't know where I lost my life. 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 I got worse than I deserved. I wish I would have lost the nerve. So what was I to do? Tried to put a good face on, was a deadly shade of blue. Nowhere left to turn, no, not a light in sight. I wish I could've turned them on, but I don't know where I lost my life.
It's just the symbolism is so powerful here. And every time they return back to the chorus, it's just so much more striking every time. And it's not as though they're performing it differently. The music is still minimal and the dynamics are still within a very set range. But it's just because of the way the story is progressing, it's just so powerful and cathartic. And it just speaks directly to one's emotional core. And it does such a great job of expressing this on a nebulous level, in the idea where there's a great vagueness of general suffering where we don't know necessarily all of the events that led up to this moment in time, where we can't directly experience this person's unique suffering, but we can always draw upon our own hardship in our past and be able to connect with another person with that. And there's a quote by Viktor Frankl, who was a concentration camp survivor and was the author of a book that I also find very cathartic, but very powerful and beautiful, which is called Man's Search for Meaning. And the quote is, "It doesn't matter what we expect from life, but what life expects from us. As we are questioned daily and hourly by life, our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in right action and right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the tasks which it consistently sets for each individual. When a man finds it's his destiny to suffer, he will have to accept his suffering as a single and unique task. He will have to acknowledge the fact that even in his suffering, he is unique and alone in the universe. No one can relieve him of his suffering or suffer in his place. His unique opportunity lies in the way in which he bears his burden." Sorry, I had to turn for that. My whiteboard is up there that I keep a lot of my quotes on that really move me. So in that way of suffering doesn't necessarily mean it's a terrible thing. There's always opportunity for growth. And I fully believe that anything in the world worth achieving has to be gained through sacrifice of some kind. And a good metaphor for this is working out. When you work out, yes, you become stronger, but you're breaking down muscles so you can build up stronger ones. In that way, where it's going to hurt, there's going to be a soreness, a certain level of pain. But if you can manage that pain, if you can experience a certain level of joy in knowing that you are growing from an experience, that hardship in the past might have hurt in the moment, and you might carry that hurt with you, but being able to be wiser for it, being able to produce real positive impacts in other people's lives because of that hardship you've experienced. There's something so beautiful about that. And being able to utilize hardship, personal hardship, in a way that better benefits yourself and other people's lives. Presently, I can't think of a better connection of humanity than that. And being able to express that so acutely in this music is really striking, and I love it.
Where I lost my life, where I lost my life, where I lost my
Yeah, it's just so powerful and cathartic that I really feel for this kind of music. I didn't really know what to expect when I went into this piece, but just from how raw it is and how it just targets very specific emotions, even though those emotions themselves are extraordinarily complex, there's very specific themes that it doesn't stray too far from. And I actually really appreciate that in some key ways. The biggest thing with this piece that I would like more of is just more musical elements to it. I obviously understand that the minimalistic style of the music is there to serve the message of the piece, but I think that could be done with more music as well. There's plenty of musical pieces that I've heard that do evoke very specific emotions and convey very specific messages while having a little bit more musical diversity in its sound overall. But I think the phrasing, the cadential structure of how the music was delivered, how the verses were delivered, was exceptionally done. It conveyed exactly what it wanted to convey without straying too far outside of the dynamic range of the piece and the theming of the piece. So this was quite a unique experience for me. I've never experienced punk music in this way before, and this has been a very unique and beautiful experience for me. So Rare America, I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me, because this is music that I would never have listened to otherwise. So thank you guys. This was an absolute honor for me. Thank you. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. If y'all liked it, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you didn't like it, please leave a dislike and let me know why in the comments. I do read all of the comments, even if I may not heart a reply to them. So please know that your comments do not go unnoticed. I want to take this time to appreciate all of you for being here watching these videos. And if you're new to the channel, I really appreciate you being here. So thank you guys so much. And I can't wait to see all of you in the next video. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, everyone.